We are approaching the most important time of the year, one of the two most important times of the year, and that is the winter solstice. And there's also the summer solstice. So, depends where you are in the world. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're celebrating the longest night of the year and the rebirth of the sun, the rebirth of the sun god, which I'm going to get into the history a little bit. But today, I want to share with you 7 ways in which you can make the very most of these energies and utilize the season to the fullest to fully transform your life. Okay, so the solstice, I am so excited to share this with you guys because it is a really important time for me personally. It's an important time in the shamanic tradition because both the 21st of December and the 21st of June, there are those times that we prepare for death. In some shamanic traditions, it's like you die twice. And that is preparing this so that we're able to see the world anew, so that we're able to experience life with this childlike wonder. Like, I don't know anything, I've never seen this person before, so I'm not disappointed by, I don't know, that they're not acting in a particular way, or maybe they're getting old, or maybe they're immature, or whatever it is. It's like you're seeing the world for the first time. So that is what this rebirth process is about, is for us to die to our old ways and to allow this new perspective to come into life, as well as it's really being taken away that whatever it is that we're blinded by, we're releasing all these energies, maybe our judgments or our anger about some situations, our anything that is holding us back from fully embracing life, so that we're allowing that to die so that we can experience life fully and find solutions that we couldn't see before because of that judgment, or because of these things that were blinding us. So let's begin the 7 things. How can you celebrate the solstice? The 7 points to that. Number 1, the solstice is a celebration of light. It is a celebration of the fire. So in ancient times, the sun god was very important in so many cultures throughout the world. And our ancestors noticed that in the winter months, the days started getting shorter and shorter. And there was this concern of what will happen if the sun doesn't return, because the sun is there for the crops. So you need the sun for everything. You need the daylight. Um, Especially back in the time, we didn't have the light, and it was so important for life. That's why the sun god was the most important god in so many cultures throughout the world. So they started noticing that the days kept getting shorter, and there was this worry and concern, what will we do if the sun doesn't return? And there was all this praying and all these things done for the sun god. And then they start noticing that after a period of time in December, the days started getting longer again. They started to lengthen, and there was more daylight. So that date was marked, the winter solstice was marked as the renewal, as the rebirth of the sun god. He came back again, he was born again. And as we understand here, this reminds us of something, right? We have that holy child being born. This is what Christianity took on later. The birth of Jesus was also around this time period on the 25th. That is the birth of the holy child, the birth of the king, which originally came from that tradition celebrating the sun god. So the solstice is really like the new year, okay? You can celebrate, go to the party on the 31st and celebrate the calendar change, but really the new year begins on the 21st, when the sun again begins its journey, and the earth begins its journey around the sun. So how do we celebrate the fire? Really just coming in and sitting with the fire is the first step, welcoming in that light. In spiritual tradition, of course, it's like everything is made out of light. We are light beings, right? Is that light shining through? There's nothing but light. So sitting with that light, sitting with a candle flame, if you have a fireplace, lighting that up and just sitting with the flame. And this is something that I'm going to get a bit further into during that solstice meditation that I'm doing, and that is a free event. You can find the recording in the free resource library on thepowerfulself.me. Make sure to check that out if you haven't registered yet. It's completely free. It's just this meditation that I want to help you guys release what doesn't serve and come into this new year refreshed and anew with new intentions. Okay, so one of the things that we're doing there is really a meditation that is just you're inhaling light, or you're inhaling that fire as you look at that flame, just inhaling in and exhaling out love. Inhaling in fire, light, and exhaling out love. Okay, and with each breath, you feel that light within you, and you're surrounding yourself with light, and you're expanding that energy field that is within you all the time. But we're going to be focusing on more creating that safe space. So, which brings me to number 2. Number 2 is burning a yule log. Now, before, this is a Nordic tradition originally, that they would cut down a whole tree and they would use up that tree to warm the home for a prolonged period of time for the celebratory period. However, not everybody has a fireplace nowadays, and the powerful thing about this tradition, which I want to share, is that there's a belief that when we burn, in shamanic tradition, when we burn the tree, we're actually setting free all that light that was in the core of it, in the bark of it. So we're releasing the energy out there, we're releasing that light. So a powerful thing to do with that is taking a stick, and again, this is something we're going to go deeply into during the solstice meditation. You're taking the stick. This also works with a piece of paper or a small piece of tree or branch that you can find outside. Make sure we're aware here of the fire safety. So you're going to blow into this the energy of whatever it is that's triggering you, anything of the past. It may be a global event, it may be some person that is there triggering you, it may be a circumstance. So you're blowing it into the piece of wood, and you're lighting it and giving it to the fire to be released. And from that place, then we're going to be going into the mind work of actually how do we alter it, because what this does is this releases that energetic darkness. It releases those triggers. It may be judgment, or it may be anger, whatever it is that clouds us, and we're not able to see the solution. We're not able to come into that childlike wonder of, I don't know, this is new. We have our judgments blocking us from finding solutions. So we're releasing that with that practice. Number three, bringing in evergreens. Christmas tree, right? This is why we have the Christmas tree. This originated from that tradition. So our ancestors would bring in evergreens during the winter because everything was cold and the food was not as available as it is, for example, in the fall right after the harvest, and it's cold, and there was need for the symbolism of eternal light, right? They're evergreens, they're always alive, they're always green. It symbolizes prosperity. So bringing in that into the home, surrounding yourself with life, right? Because again, on the subconscious level, it's like those little things that you may not notice every single day, but as you move throughout your day or throughout your home, but your mind is there filtering it. So when your mind sees those earthly elements, it sees the greenery, it changes how your mind operates. It gives you new life, it gives you new ideas, okay? So bringing in evergreens into your home. Number 4. Number 4 is having a feast, sharing a meal. This is what people do for Christmas dinner, or in some countries where New Year's celebrated more. This is what we do for New Year's. It's really, I invite you with this one to really be conscious of the food that you're consuming. As you're consuming this food, as you're preparing even this food, being so grateful to Mother Earth for providing this for you. And again, this was a very mindful practice during the old days when food was not as available as it is now. We didn't have supermarkets back then. So really creating this one meal that is so sacred, and this is the family coming together, and this big meal, and after that meal we sit by the fire and enjoy each other's company, and also set these intentions and have this whole meditative experience of looking at our year. So that whole tradition begins with this meal of creating it mindfully and consuming it mindfully as well. So really treat yourself here. What are your favorite foods? How can you be mindful about preparing it? Really get creative with this one. I think we're at number 5 now, and that is gift giving. Okay, so this again, traditions that we have today originated from the past, from our ancestors, and gift giving in this case cannot be bought in the store. It has to be something that comes from nature. It can be something that is creative. I know actually for me, one of my best gifts that I've received was when a friend surprised me by sharing a song that he learned how to play, and that was that was a really important gift for me. That's something that I really cherish, even though it's not tangible, but it was such an energetic importance to me. um, yeah, so anything of nature, there's so many as well in stores even nowadays. There are so many natural alternatives. It can be soap or salts or incense or oils, anything that comes from nature, that comes from the earth. Number 6. Number 6 is giving back to nature, giving back to Mother Earth. And that is something, it can be as small as just giving, going to the forest or scattering some seeds outside of your home for the birds, or if you have any animals nearby, giving something to those animals. Um, Ideally, something that you don't do all the time. So if you have pets, it doesn't really count because, I mean, you have to feed your pet, but this is something really giving back to the wild. It can be also something bigger, like giving a donation to some organization that protects animals or forests, or again, there's so many of these local animal shelters, maybe giving a donation there. So whatever that is for you, how can you give back to Mother Earth? And number 7. Whew. Number 7 is probably the most difficult one that most people resist, and that is embracing the shadow. Yes, we're celebrating light, we're celebrating the rebirth of the sun, but part of the celebration is embracing the shadow. We have to go through, in a loving way, through that longest night of the year, embracing our shadows, loving ourselves, sitting with our emotions. And actually, my hands just automatically went here because this is where the solar plexus here is where the ego lives. This is where we feel our anxieties, we feel our fears. And you know how people say, oh, it's the gut feeling. No, it's the worries. It's the feeling of unsafety, is when your inner child is not okay. That is when we're feeling this. So sitting with that aspect of yourself, really communicating with it, embracing that shadow, embracing that, whatever it may be for you, that I'm unworthy, I'm unloved, confessing it. And again, from going back to that first one, it is fantastic to do it with a candle flame. We're celebrating light, we're celebrating the rebirth, we're celebrating the power of light and that liberation that it provides. So again, this is something that we're going to be going deep into the meditation, but just touching on this here, sit with the light and confess to it. I am releasing my feeling of unworthiness and really feeling it fully and allowing that energy to come out, allowing that light to take it and to transmute it. All right. So, for us, and I really want to hone in on this here because so many people just avoid that, and it's like, but I want to do the fun things, I want to do the good things, or it's this not wanting to embrace those aspects of ourselves. It's kind of like, okay, well, I'm giving it to God, and I'm just gonna come for the party, like I'm just gonna reap the rewards. Like, no, you also have to do the work. Okay, it's like trusting spirit, but also you are the one in control. You're the one in charge. We are guided, but we have to take action. So, how is it that you can show up for yourself during this time? Show up for your emotions, show up so that you can transmute all that is holding you trapped and holding you hostage from living your best life, from living your full potential. So that was a lot. You don't have to do all of them. Let me know which one resonates with you the most, okay? Which one speaks with you to you. I would suggest maybe do 3 of them, okay? So let's recap here. Let's go over the list. Number 1, honoring the fire, sitting with the fire. Number 2, burning the yule log. This might not all be in the right order because I may forget some of them. Number 3 is bringing in evergreens into your home. Number 4, sharing a meal and mindfully making that meal, even if it's only for yourself. Number 5, gift giving, something of natural origin. Number 6, giving back to nature, giving back to the earth, giving back to animals. And number 7, really sitting with your shadow, embracing your shadow, loving your shadow so much so that you can step into that wholeness that is the yin and the yang, embracing it together so that you can step in fully and welcome that new rebirth of the sun, and you can be reborn yourself. On this note, let me know below what resonated. What do you want to try? What have you done before? If you've ever celebrated the solstice before, let me know. And I'm wishing you, as always, a powerful day.